Hello, everybody, and welcome to a portal of the Brewing Labs. Now, as many people know, Arena actually has a temporary format for over the weekend, and for kind of like I think it's going to go on through the next week, which is the Yawning Portal event, which is pretty much a 60-card singleton event. And I thought to bring back kind of like the Brewing Labs and such, since I was doing an experiment. Just for the record, I am planning to now bring back Brewing Lab deck techs as well as just providing quick, like, little fun live quips from my Twitch streams and such. I figured that would be the best way to balance it out and such. Nevertheless, I'm actually going to show off today's deck tech, which in this case is for the Yawning Portal event. So, the deck specifically is just Grull Legendary, which is the Yawning Legendary archetype. Basically, the premise is we have a lot of snow, so we do have some of the good, best early game removal burn spells, essentially, slash also removal spells. And we got a whole lot of legendary creatures slash types. Mostly because we're brewing around Bard class, because I thought that would be fun. We also have Ranger class in here to help us make our creatures big and generates a token. Probably one of the best spares in Standard at the moment. Debatable, but it's pretty good. Then Druid class, because we do have ways to play multiple lands, including stuff like with Rada, Heart of the Keld, as well as the Shaya, being able to make our creatures into lands that allows us to gain life, and all the level up abilities on it's nice. Mad Dev for ramp. We throw in Cleansing Wildfire as well as Smashing Success, mostly just to deal with when people try to be clever in this format and try to do the mono-white deck that's basically the essentially mono-white snow, use Book of Assaulted Deeds, get the Faceless Haven, that combo. So we can pretty much answer that combo right off the bat if it becomes a little bit problematic. We also have stuff like Tundra Fumarole for kind of like mid-game removal, Cultivate for ramp, Dryad for ramp slash Fitzing, Field Trip for ramp, as well as Neural Professor. Both of these are in here also for the lesson package, which we have in the side. We have stuff like Fractal Summoning, Mascot Exhibition, Introduction to Annihilation, Introduction to Prophecy, Containment Breach, Basic Conjuration, as well as Environmental Sciences. Basically, one thing you could use here, keep in mind you can actually have access to your lesson package in this format, which is actually really nice. We also have Varus as one of our legendaries in this deck, because since Yawning Portal, the basic gimmick is every second spell you cast will pretty much make you venture into the dungeon. This is actually very nice in the deck, so then essentially if we complete our dungeons and such, whether through casting our bunch of legendary creatures, or just essentially naturally through the casting second spell shenanigans, we do then get the ability to, once we complete our dungeon, get a nice little good wolf boy, so that's very nice. Have this for, just since we'll provide legendary, Cavalli is pretty much a no-brainer in the deck, Toski for card draw, Eska just to make a bunch of tokens, and then the one kind of wild card in the deck, pun aside, essentially is Delina Wildmage. It's the same reason why we put Barbarian class in here, besides the factor that it does give our creatures haste. Being able to pretty much being able to copy any of our creatures with Delina's attack ability. Very nice, especially on some very aggressively oriented creatures like Arnie Broken Bow. Maybe even stuff like essentially some of our late game stuff. Like, for example, if you can get Kogla, Titan Ape down and use Delina's ability and get multiple Koglas, it's absurd. Like, it's a quick, way to get a board wipe faster than you could say Timbuktu on a Bayou. Anyway, we also have Vivian Monstrous Advocate, just as semi-card draw slash also token generation. Goldspan Dragon, as many people know in Standard, good card. Ashaya Soul of the Wild, already mentioned. Deck of Many Fiends is my little personal touch to the deck. Honestly, you could cut this out for any other card, but doing the factor, I like this in singleton formats since it does give us the potential either card draw or chaotic regrowth, which is very nice, especially in a format where we have a bunch of one-ups, essentially. Then we have Embercleave, because sometimes you can just finish a game with Embercleave. Infernal the Star Mounts, you can finish a game with a giant hasty dragon that can't be countered. Kogla, as mentioned before, good for fighting, but also in this deck to actually help us remove problematic enchantments slash artifacts, aka like the Book of Assaulted Deeds, or even like a Banshee Light or something. Phyleph's in here as a semi kind of like finisher as well, since we have a lot of basics in our deck design essentially, so being able to get a bunch of plant tokens and fun combo with as a Shaya essentially, because if we do that, anytime we cast a creature, it's considered landfall, so we make our plant tokens bigger. We also throw in the Great Hinge just because it's a good card draw engine, as well as a legendary spell. Very, very nice. Our land base is 8 mountains, 8 forests, 1 Crag-Crowned Pathway, 1 Highland Forest, 1 Temple of Abandon, 1 Crawling Barrens, 1 Fabled Passage, and 1 Faceless Haven. As stated before, we do have a lesson sideboard. We have Fractal Summoning. Mostly this is like if we get our Learn package late in the game and we just need a really, really big thing. Mascot Exhibition, just because it's a good card, and if we need to go wide. Introduction to Annihilation if we find a very problematic permanent that we need to remove ASAP. Introduction Prophecy for card draw. Containment Breach to remove any problematic artifacts or enchantments. Basic Conjuration just to essentially force semi-card draw and life gain. And Environmental Science just for mana filtering, essentially. And that is the deck. We'll play at least 1 or 2 games with the Yawning Legendary deck just to show it off. But just to let you know, if you are interested in this list, I will provide a link to the AetherHub deck link down below. I hope you all have a lovely day, but for now, let's actually play some fun games with the Yawning Legendary in the Yawning format and see what happens. Shall we? That we shall. Okay, our first opponent is Nightbane? Okay. Or, I think that's how you do the name. Okay, here is an interesting hand. We really need a second mountain for the Fumarole, but we can actually get it with Field Trip if we can get, like, for example, a Environmental Science. So, it's a slow hand, but I think we're going to keep it. We can even be cute, and like if we can stick Deck of Many Fiends, we could actually just bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. So we're going to play Snow-Covered Mountain, see what our opponent plays here. Oh, we didn't even need to worry. Okay, so we're going to play a Snow-Covered Forest. So we see some plains. What else are we going to see in this combination? Okay, so we don't see anything yet. So I'm going to play the Crawling Barrens here, play the Field Trip, get a little bit of ramp. And we don't really have much creatures, so I am kind of tempted to get the basic Conjuration here. Let's see, how many lands we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll get 6. There's an argument to just get the Mascot Exhibition out, but... Yeah, I think I'm going to actually just get the Mascot Exhibition. Mostly the reason why I want to do that now is because we do have Eskat's Chariot, so once later in the game, we can actually play Mascot Exhibition to copy the tokens with Eskat's Chariots of... like if we need the flyer or just a really big Orzhov life gain shenanigans. Okay. So we're gonna get this, put this in tapped. We can deal with at least a little bit of life gain drain at the moment, so we'll see what our opponent is cooking. Know what we need to knock out, so we gotta first remove that because that allows us not to be able to remove this. We do get some mana into this, so yeah, I'd say we just play the Mascot Exhibition. We're going to... this is a game where our opponent's going to be gaining life, so it's better that we do the Tomb of Annihilation here. Drain our opponent a little bit of life. Okay, so our opponent got Heliod. That's concerning, because now they can give any of their creatures lifelink, so... Plus, make them bigger with the lifelink effect, essentially, so we gotta be a little bit cautious. Ooh. Okay, we're gonna play the chariot. Make a bunch of kitties. Then we'll play Delinia. We can discard this forest. If Delina sticks for the next turn, there's actually some shenanigans afoot if we can get it to stick. Though we do have to be a little bit cautious. The fact that our opponent didn't discard a card there makes me think that they're holding on to removal, so... Yeah, I think we swing in with this team. See our opponent wants to block, if they want to block. Well, we'll see what our opponent top decks here. They might have a board wipe up their hands, so we gotta keep that in mind. If Delina and Eska Chariot can stick, as well as a few creatures to crew the Eska's Chariot, we might have some comedy coming. Okay, Angel Fatality, makes sense. That gives them a blocker. Do they have removal? No, just some life gain, which is good because they can venture into the dungeon. It gives them a little bit of life, which is nice. And they're going to go for the Yawning portal for a little bit more life gain and drain us a little bit, buff up their team. Makes perfect sense. Okay, did they draw into the removal? It looks like the answer is... no. Okay. Well, time for some comedy. Okay, first things first, we're going to crew the chariot. And then we're going to attack in as well as with Delina. And if my theory is correct, we'll say good game to our opponent. We should be able to copy the chariot. And then create a token. Ah. We couldn't see how many Eska chariots we could make, opponent. Ah. Okay, but yeah, the plan there was just essentially copy Eska's chariot, make a bunch more cat tokens and such, so... well, it happens. Anyway, we're gonna play another round. Here, yeah, pretty decent hand. We got Clothis, we got Barbarian class, we got Varus, so this is a keep. We get turn 1 this, turn 2 Barbarian class, turn 3 any of these, depending on what we think would be the best at the circumstances. But we're going to play a Highland Forest, see what our opponent plays. A mountain. Okie dokie. So yeah, we'll get the Barbarian class out of the way. So they're going Boros with their deck design, it seems. Oh, looks like Boros equipment, potentially. Okay, I see what the opponent's cooking. I think the play here is just to play Varus, potentially as a blocker. Plus, the ward ability on this is nice because the opponent, if they want to remove it, will have to spend a little bit of a mana sink into it, which is perfectly fine. Next turn, we can then play the Gnarled Professor, go get... depending on if they play a really scary equipment, I might just go get Containment Breach. do love how with these equipment decks, they've been smart to put the Rune of Speed in their deck design. That way, then they can actually give their stuff haste. So, yeah. We're not going to attack it. We can take at least the initial 4 points of damage. Nope, that's not what we want to play. We want to play Gnarled Professor. Here, I think I'm just going to gain the life, since we know they're a little bit aggro. And, as stated before, Containment Breach seems to be a pretty good card against this matchup. Again, Containment Breach next turn, and if we get a cheap 2-drop, that would be great, or 1-drop. But then we could just play Vivian next turn. Or we could play Vivian the following turn and then do Containment Breach. Yeah, it looks like that might be the case. Nah, take the 2. Sure. Mostly I want the opponent to have to use their savior here if they want to protect the cleric. Plus it gets a card in the graveyard, so once we inevitably play Clofist, we can at least chew on some cards, get a little bit of our life back. Ooh, that's a good top deck, but we don't have the land for it, unfortunately, so... Yeah, I think here the play is to play the Vivian. Scry 1. Ronnie is nice, but I do want to get like a second mountain for a touch or 2. So we're gonna plus. We're gonna give this Reach.
Problem. Every day is a new mutation.
Okay, that's a little bit annoying. That's why we have the blocker here. Okay, first things first. Actually, first things first. I'm gonna destroy the plate armor. As much as I want to destroy the thing that would be giving them haste, I feel like that's a priority at the moment.
Beauty lies in variation.
Then we play Clofist so we can get a 2 victory triggers here. Target creature can't attack you next turn. Oop. Scry 2. We will take the mountain, but we will put the forest on the bottom. See if our opponent wants to trade. They do not. They, as the phrase goes, invested all their potatoes in one of these, and they want to keep it alive. It seems to be the case. But yeah, they're heavily invested in this creature, so they probably want to keep it alive as much as they can. I'm gonna be curious to see if our opponent tries to play another creature and try to equip everything else to that, potentially. I am curious. Nah, they're going all in on this one, so... Well, first, get some life back.
We will adapt to any threat.
Oh wait, that's lethal. Ba-da-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Woo! Splenderoni to the pepperoni. Okay, we'll play one more. And then we'll probably call an end to the video because I gotta work on a few videos today, including a top deck thoughts, so we're going against Tom Hart. Okay. This is a greedy hand, because technically we do have this turn free, but everything is a little bit more high mana value. But let's give it a shot. Why not? Mountain, wake up the dragon. A dragon. Doo-doo. Okay, it was nice to pull Frostbite here, so we can take care of any problematic threats our opponent plays before we play Arnie. Let's see, do they play another 1-drop? That they do. Monk is annoying, but I do think this is a little bit more annoying since it can generate tokens when it attacks, so we're probably going to Frostbite that one specifically. We're going to see where our opponent ventures into first. Okay, they're going aggro ventures. We'll Frostbite this. We're going to see if our opponent wants to block. They do not. Well, let's see if they have two other cheap 1 or 2 mana spells to make this Monk of the Open Hand bigger. They do not, maybe? I don't know yet. They might play another card here. Oh, that's a good card to play. Okay, that's... Okay, I have to admit, I got a little bamboozled there. We'll take the life loss, but swallow fold. Okay, we're going to make this invest in this, since we don't really have anything else to do. And if we don't draw the second forest here, we're in a bit of a pickle. Or any land, or at least play a card, because our opponent can just 5-hit us constantly. I gotta take it again. Okay. Second forest, please. Blizzard Brawl is not bad, but not what we need at the moment. But yet again, could not be bad. Really, the thing we're hoping here now is we draw a second forest. Mostly because the plan here then is, honestly, if this doesn't get any bigger, to just essentially make this into a creature and Blizzard Brawl. Blizzard. I think we're pretty close to dead though, because okay, we're gonna have to do this very persnickety. But we're gonna do this. Make it into a creature. Blizzard Brawl. This. I'm pretty sure we're still dead, but at least we had a fun play. Presuming our opponent doesn't have a cheap protection spell here. Because all they have to do is equip that, and we are dead. Ba-doo. Well, 2 wins, 1 losses. Not bad for the deck. So, anyways, that is the Yawning legendary deck. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will provide a list down below. Hope you all have a lovely day. As they say, hip hip, hooray.